kind of, no, already in a career, and okay, but kind of, if we had some, and we can choose whom we'll marry, we can choose where we'll stay, etc. Can we choose our face cut when we are born? There's no application form. Can we choose where we'll take birth? Can we choose our level of intelligence? Then where is it coming from? Why is in this room everyone different? Why didn't all of us choose to have intelligence of Einstein and the looks of whoever, and why not? Because that is karma. And then the effort not result concept is accepting that yes, this is within. The whole point of astrology, or the point of reading the palm, was already to give the human being an idea, this is your scope in this life. Don't be upset. The whole point of the modern style is you can make it big. Every year in India, there are about 8 lakh students who apply for the IIT exam. Not even more than 2 lakh are really capable of it. From childhood they are pushed and forced, and they are going with big bags on their shoulders, and definitely they can't make it. But the teachers won't tell them because they're getting the money, so they'll say, you'll make it, very good, you'll make it, send your child, we'll train him, we'll do it. The parents, because they don't understand this concept, yes, he can make it, do it. And the child knows, I can't make it, but he's telling, she's telling, he made it, and this is the formula, I think I'll make it. And every year, these 6 lakh, they try once, twice, and they'll end up in messed up minds, because what they could do, when I used to do youth outreach, I went to the IITs and I went to all the other colleges. For those who made it and for those who don't. And for those who don't, they had such brilliant skills in so many other fields. Some were painters, some were dramatists, could have been poets, some could have been historians, some could have been, but they're caught in this thing of you can do it, you can make it, because not having the understanding that yes, this is my scope, this is what life has given me. Within this, let me try what I can do. So the beauty of this palmistry, at birth, therefore the kundali was made to already give a clue. This is where you can go, this is what you should do, this is what you can choose. 1 or 2 paths were told, and so the person very happily accepted it, knowing that the effort is more important than what I'm going to get in the end. Knowing that how I live this life, they derive their satisfaction from that kartavya buddhi, their satisfaction from being righteous, being dharmic, being this. That is where they got their satisfaction from. Therefore, they could be happy with not getting a very great result. But if you are only after result, then you have to follow the philosophy of karma does not exist. I can also make it. Anybody can make it. And then what it lands up with is in every year after the IIT exam, 6 suicides, mental troubles, traumas, and children running away from home because of unhealthy expectations. And that's what society is, that's what we are tormented with today, unhealthy expectations. There was a recent survey done by a group of hospitals of last point of death. What does the person say? And the number 1 is, I did not live what I wanted to be. I was something else. I didn't want to be this. And then number 2 is, I didn't keep my relationships. And number 3 is, then it goes. But the number 1 was, I didn't be what I wanted to be. Because they told me this is what it means to be big. Success means this. And that's so limiting. When success is defined externally, if you're rich, then you're successful. So limiting. And that's all you can think of. So effort and not the result. Aiming for the stars. And then because karma is there, then we have to learn to face ups and downs. And this is the beauty of the Mahabharata. Throughout the Mahabharata, when Bhishma is on his bed of arrows, Yudhishthir comes in front of him, and with tears in his eyes, Bhishma begins to speak. Aho kashtam aho nyayam yadyuyam dharmanandana jivitam narhatam klishtam vipradharma chutashraya. He's saying, oh dear Yudhishthir, aho kashtam aho anyayam yadyuyam dharmanandana. You are the son of religion. You are personification of religion. And to you faced aho kashtam, how many difficulties, how many troubles, aho anyayam, how many injustices. What kept you going? How could it be? You didn't even once say that, why do bad things happen to good people? That's such a big complaint. Why do bad things happen to good people, and the bad people out there, the best of things are happening to them? You never complain. Ahokastanya, Yadyam Dharmanandana, Jivitam Narhatam Krishtam. He's saying your life was practically living hell. But Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta, Ashraya. But you were always sheltered by the wise people, Vipra, Dharma, your righteousness, and Achyuta. Krishna always sheltered you. Therefore, you floated above all this. My Guru Radhanath Swami spoke a very deep sentence which has taken me years to try to understand. He said, pain is compulsory, but suffering is optional. Pain, everyone has to go through. We can't avoid it. In the beginning of the Gita itself, Krishna is so beautifully declaring. He's saying, I'm speaking this Gita, Arjuna, in a position in which you are suffering, but let me declare in the beginning, I'm not speaking it to actually rid you of suffering. Matra sparshas kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkha daha. Sukha and dukkha cannot be avoided. It is part of life. Learn, and then he gives a beautiful example. Sukha dukkha, shitoshna sukha dukkha. Just like winter and summer. Can we avoid it? We can't. Nobody can change this. We don't like it. When it gets too hot, then we don't like it. When it gets too cold, we don't like it. We can deal with it. We can prepare for it. Once summer has come, we know winter is coming. Don't throw the clothes, don't burn them. Keep them for the winter. And when the winter is over, when the summer is going to come, okay, now we can use warm. We prepare for it. We know that yes, it's coming, and again it's going to go away. There was one king. The story comes in the Mahabharata, where he tells a sadhu that I'm always, when success comes to my life, I'm super elated, super happy, extra. And because I go so high during success and happiness, when down comes, I go absolutely down. I become depressed, I become sad. What do? Tell me something to avoid this. And then the sadhu gave him a ring. And so he said, whenever you have such times, just read the ring and you'll be peaceful. So next day, the news comes that your son captured the neighboring kingdom. Now our kingdom has expanded 1/4 more. So much wealth and so much treasury has been added, and so many lands and king, and the whole kingdom is blissful, and the king is about to go into his extra hyper happy mode, and he sees the ring and he becomes calm and he's happy, but he's controlling it. And next day the news comes that the son died. He tried for his second war, and there's crying and depression and everywhere, and he sees the ring and he's crying, but he's handled it. And the queen asks him, what is written on this ring? Show me the ring. And he shows the ring, and it's written, this too shall pass. Yes, when you're very happy, it will pass, and when you're very sad, that too will pass. So then that means the ups and downs don't become the goal. The goal doesn't just become, let me remain up, or let me come out of the down, because ups and downs are anyway going to come. Just see the beautiful situation, same situation, Dronacharya and Arjuna on the battle of Kurukshetra. When Dronacharya had to be, intense fight is going on, it's the 5th or the 6th day, and Dronacharya is wrecking the army, and Krishna says we have to remove him from the scene. And then Krishna tells Yudhishthira, tell him Ashwatthama is dead. Yudhishthira doesn't want to lie. Yudhishthira says Ashwatthama, the elephant is dead. Krishna is blowing his conch. So Dronacharya hears Ashwatthama is dead. And when he hears this, Ashwatthama is dead, Narova Kunjarova, he gives a riddle, and then he drops his bow, drops his arrow and sits down, and Drishtadyumna comes and chops off his head. And the same situation, Arjuna, Abhimanyu, he enters the Chakravyuha. That day they are told that there's a Chakravyuha formation. I'm just recently reading of what is the Chakravyuha formation. Beautiful formation. It's a moving disc where the soldiers keep, you can't enter, and the better the soldier, he's more inside. So it keeps moving. So by the time you kill the soldier in front of you, his position is already taken by the next one. And if you kill him, he's already taken. So the only person who can break through the Chakravyuha is who is fighting, not the person in front. So he's able to defend himself on the person in front, kill the person on the right, 2 digits he has to kill, 2 people on the right. Then he can move in one unit inside, whatever the unit was, he moves in. And he has to be that good and that fast. So nobody knew the art of breaking in. And that day Arjuna is fighting from the other side of the battle. And the Pandavas, the 4 Pandavas, Bhima, Yudhishthira, Nakul, Sahadev, they are with Abhimanyu, and they see this formation. And they say, who knows how to break it? Abhimanyu says, when I was young, father and mother, they like to talk. And women have their things they want to talk and men have their things. So after Subhadra finished speaking her general womanly talk, Arjuna began to speak, which was very boring for Subhadra, so she was sleeping. But he spoke to Subhadra how to break through Chakravyuh, and I was in her womb at that time. I heard the whole thing. But before, and he spoke completely. They said, really, you know how to get in? He said, but then he started explaining how to get out. Subhadra said, enough! What are you telling me all this for? So I don't know how to get out. Bhim said, I assure you, you get me in, I'll break the formation out. Don't worry about getting out. I am so strong, I'll get in. Yudhishthira said, we are right behind you. Let us enter the Chakravyuh, we'll see what to do later. Let's at least break the formation. And Abhimanyu said, okay, so should I break it? He said, yes. And he's 16-year-old boy, the youngest boy on that battlefield. Inexperienced, maybe his first big war. Barely is ready to pick up weapons, barely is ready to do something, and he's in breaking the Chakravyuh. And at that point, there is Jayadratha. Now, Jayadratha has a bad history. In this next point also we're going to cover with Jayadratha. When Jayadratha one day sees the Pandavas and Draupadi in the forest, he gets very attracted to Draupadi. And he says, oh my dear lady, what are you doing alone in this forest? And that time she's alone. She's come somewhere to either cut wood or carry water. And then he says, come with me, be my queen. And she says, you're like a, they even in the language used in the Mahabharata in those days was so beautiful, even to insult. They didn't just use some cheap, cheap words. Their insults were poetic. So she said, I have 5 powerful Gandharva husbands, and you are like a wolf, they are like lions. You are like a dog, and they are like eagles. She compared like that. So he feels so much insulted, and then he holds her hand, and then she says, I am born from the fire, because she's born from the fire. I am the result of sacrifice. Sometimes the butter, the ghee put in the fire is licked by dogs. Don't be a dog who's trying to get me. I am powerfully controlled by 5 Gandharva husbands. They will surely take revenge.
So we're talking about women's ethics.
Oh yeah. If you see the words Gandhari, Kunti and Draupadi use, wow, powerful language. They showed because of their chastity, because of their character, nobody could touch them. They knew you're messing with fire. Don't do anything with these women. They showed it through their life. So that's why they were so sacred and powerfully protected. So Draupadi says this and Jayadratha says no, and he pulls her onto his chariot and starts driving. And from behind she starts shouting, and Dhaumya is running behind. And Dhaumya is a Brahmana, so he can just say wait. He can't do anything. So Draupadi tells Dhaumya, you're not a Kshatriya, don't try to fight. You go and tell them that they should come. And then Dhaumya goes running behind, tells the Pandavas. And then from behind on the chariot come Arjuna and Bhim. And when now Bhim is so violent with anger and rage, and Bhim likes this. In the forest, he didn't get much chance of fighting. Now somebody's there. He thought, now I'm ready to beat this guy to pulp. And he's with his mace. And then Draupadi, in that whole section she's describing, she says, look, Jayadratha, look behind. Do you see the man whose neck is like the trunk of a tree, whose thighs are like the banks of a river? He'll crush your head in 1,000 pieces. Do you see that man whose face is effulgent, whose shoulders are broad, and whose bow when twisted is like a semicircle? That is Arjuna. He'll pierce your body with 1,000 arrows. So like this, when she speaks, now Jayadratha is a little scared. And then these guys come and they catch him. But because there is a family relation with Jayadratha, they don't kill him. They bring him back and throw him down in the feet of Yudhishthira. And Yudhishthira, out of his compassion, Yudhishthira is an extraordinary character who is so much thinking from dharma point of view, whose life is dharma. His emotions he always keeps aside. And he's seeing that somebody insulted his wife. But he says, no, there is some relationship. He says, forgive him. Insult him that for a Kshatriya, insult is as good as death. So insult him in such a way that he feels he's dead, but leave him. And so they shave his head in patches, and then they mock him, they tie him up, and they leave him. And Jayadratha gets so upset that he takes a vow. I will take a vow that I'm going to kill the Pandavas. For the next 2 years, he does not go back to his kingdom. He becomes an ascetic there, and he eats ash. It's extreme extreme austerity to please Shiva. And 2 years later, Shiva appears and says, what do you want? He says, I want to kill the Pandavas. Shiva says, impossible. He says, I want to kill one of the Pandavas. Impossible. He says, I want to kill Bhim. Impossible. Then what can I get? And 2 years of eating ash. Where's the cash now? I want some result. He's saying, no. And then there is a dialogue. He says, why can this not be? And he says, no, these are 5 protected by Krishna. It's impossible. This war, the future of the Pandavas, nobody can change. They're divinely protected. I can't do anything. He says, I can give you one boon. Once only will you be able to stop the 4 Pandavas, not Arjuna, that you can't do anything. But the 4 Pandavas, you will be able to stop, not kill. Stop them once, you can choose. And this day, Jayadratha uses it. When Abhimanyu enters, Duryodhana knows, Duryodhana is very smart. He already finds out about all the blessings and the curses of his whole army. So he said, Jayadratha, use your power now. And that time Jayadratha comes, and 4 Pandavas. And that day is a real surprise. Nobody till that point could stop Bhim, nor Yudhishthira, nor Nakul, Sahadeva, but that day they are stopped. And for hours they just can't, he's there, they can't defeat him. They are trying their best, 4 of them on one, and he stops them. But Abhimanyu, such an expert archer, enters, and goes in the middle of the Chakravyuh. In the middle are the best warriors, Karna and Bhishma, Dronacharya, Dushasan, Duryodhana. Yeah, and they're all 6 of them, 6 Maharathis. And this little 16-year-old boy enters. When he enters, the Kauravas, they start clapping. In fact, each one glorifies. They say, who is this? Where has he come from? How did he learn this art? Just see how he's fighting. Just see his warfare. Just see his arrows. Just see he's so gentle yet refined. They're appreciating, they're saying, and then they ask, who is this? Because there's so much of heavy armor and blood because of the war. So then one of them says, this is the son of Arjuna. And then he's the son of Arjuna, let us slaughter him. And then Karna says, oh, he's the son of Arjuna, today I will take revenge on Arjuna. And all 6 of them surround Abhimanyu. It's unfair fight. It should be one-on-one. And 16-year-old boy, they should not even have, definitely one-on-one. And then they start fighting. In the fight, it's impossible to come near Abhimanyu. And Karna is appreciating. He's saying, the son of Arjuna is well trained. Did Arjuna teach you, boy? And he's saying, Arjuna did not teach me, but he taught me to put your blood flow your blood on the ground. When they talk also, you've seen in a boxing match, first they come together, they have some words, and then they go back and fight. So that was the Kshatriya style also. First some words, you speak and I speak to get the blood really boiling, and then they fight. And Abhimanyu, 6 people, and one by one, then finally they kill his chariot driver, they kill the chariot, they break it's taking a long time, and all the soldiers are watching, they are seeing this happen, and they're really appreciating. They know it's an unfair fight, but it's happening. And Krishna Arjuna, other end of the battlefield. And finally, one of them says, you can't kill him, cut his armor. And they say, oh, come on, we are 6. And should we go and cut his armor? Karna says, cut his armor. And then, I don't know who it was, who finally goes behind. It's totally unfair, cuts the armor from behind. Then when his armor falls, then very soon all the arrows are entered and he's slaughtered.
He's still not dead. He's still got the chakra.
Oh yes, finally. Right.
And finally, Dushasan takes the mace and breaks his head. So
right.
he dies only after Dushasan hits his head.
Strikes his head down.
This is the saddest part of the entire Mahabharata.
Correct.
That entire story. So.
Yeah, I think that's a famous painting also, where he's got there's a recent 3D art, he's fighting his chariot, and then he dies. But see the difference now, same, ups and downs. Dronacharya, when he heard my son is dead, he went into depression. He said, I quit. This is what modern day is teaching us. You lose, quit, get out, you're useless. And you tell yourself, and people also tell you, you lost, get out, you're useless. I'm useless, I commit suicide, or I go into depression, I can't deal with it. Nobody is given the tools to deal with downs. And that's what happened to Dronacharya. He couldn't deal with it. He said, I lived my life for my son Ashwathama, he's dead, I quit. So he put his weapons down. But Arjuna, okay, my son is dead, what can I do about it now? You kill my son, I take a vow. Tomorrow before sunset, I'll cut off Jayadratha's head. And he continues his duty. Amazingly, this has happened after the speaking of the Bhagavad Gita. Just see what a beauty of dealing with emotion. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling her, you're not the body, you're the soul, the body anyway will die. Why is Arjuna crying for Abhimanyu, who's not the body, who's the soul? Why is Krishna standing next to Abhimanyu and crying? Krishna should have at that point told Arjuna, you're an illusion, nobody dies, everything. Krishna is weeping, Krishna is crying. At the end of the day, when he takes the vow, Krishna says, very good Arjuna, I'll help you, we will kill Jayadratha. Krishna is talking about don't be angry, Sita Pragya and all those high-fi things. And now he's saying yes. And then the Mahabharata talks about dealing with emotion. Emotion is absolutely important, but the way it was dealt with was you give emotion its due quota. Don't let it cross the quota. When Dronacharya's emotion of sadness crossed its quota, it reached depression, it reached suicide, it reached I quit. But Arjuna's quota did not cross. Arjuna's quota remained at I am sad, but I have to deal with it, I have to live this life. Okay, and I will overcome it. Later he becomes happy. Later also he cries. When finally Parikshit is going to be enthroned on the thing, Arjuna cries, I wish my son was here. He again brings that sadness, but it does not stop his daily activity. It does not stop his functioning. It does not in any way deter his other emotions, deter his love, make him burnt. When things are not taught, when emotions are not given their due quota, that is allowed in the Vedic science, but it's not allowed to overdo the quota. If it's overdone both happiness and distress, it will lead to disaster. If both are kept in their, if happiness is overdone, then what happens is what happens to so many. Yesterday I was reading stars who committed suicide. And who are the stars? Most famous suicide. There was one Robin Williams recently who made people happy. He was known for his, and he committed suicide out of depression and loneliness. Dale Carnegie, he wrote a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Author of this book jumped from the building. Suicide note, I don't have friends. Because give the emotions their due quota. Don't allow them to cross, because ups and downs are a part of life. They are going to come anyway. That much strength is given to the human being to deal with every emotion. And Mahabharata deals with every emotion known to man, and nobody quit. There were times like this character quit, but Arjuna did not quit. So he dealt with it. So that is facing ups and downs. And another example, very similar again, when Gandhari hears, oh, Kunti had her 3 sons, and she's pregnant in her womb. She loses control and she hits her womb. Why was he not born first? And the womb just falls out. Her fetus falls out. And then later Vyasdev comes and everything is done. But that's considered a great sin. If she had lost, that would have been an abortion. And according to the Vedic science, at that time it was a crime. How can you abort your baby? So she lost control. And another time, even Duryodhan, very similar. Duryodhan is an evil character. So we have the 5 Pandavas in the forest, and Duryodhan hears about it. He says that day, it's maybe the 8th or the 9th year of their Vanvas, and he says, let us go and tease them. Let us go and show them that how we are enjoying. The nature of envy is such, even after you get what you have, you get more pleasure out of seeing the other person unhappy. There's one story which comes in, I think it's in maybe Mahabharata, maybe Ramayana, that where Krishna gives a blessing to one person, that you will get double of what what do you want? He says, I want whatever I ask for, will you give me? He says, okay, whatever you ask for, your neighbor will get double. He says, okay. He says, give me a car. He gets a car, he gets 2 cars. Give me a house, he gets 2 houses. And he's wondering, hey, my objective of happiness was neighbor's envy, owner's pride. That's the tagline of Onida company. Neighbor's envy, owner's pride. So your happiness is coming from him being envious. So he thinks, whatever I get, he gets double. He says, okay, pluck one eye out. So he is ready. Why? He'll get both his eyes blinded. So the nature of envy is, my happiness is his sadness. So Duryodhana now, he can't enjoy the kingdom. He really can't, because it's born out of envy. So his pleasure is, let me see them more unhappy. And that day he tells Bhishma, we are going to go for a picnic to the forest. And Bhishma says, which part of the forest? And he says this location. Bhishma says, don't go there, Pandavas are there. He said, that's why I want to go. And this is a beautiful resort, a lake, a naturally formed beautiful lake, owned by Chitrangada, one of the Gandharvas. And that day, the Kauravas come on the other side, and all their queens are there, and all their musicians and dramatists and food and joy. And on the other side, other bank, right there, are the 5 Pandavas in tree bark, and Draupadi is sitting and cooking, and they're all looking at each other, and they're enjoying and purposely seeing, and they're having fun. And Draupadi is crying. Bhima is pulling the grass out of the ground. There's one description of how all 5 of them walked differently. I'm not exactly remembering, but something like when Bhima is walking, he's calculating how many steps will it take me before I kill Duryodhan. When Arjuna is walking, we're all making these kind of calculations, and Nakul and Yudhishthir is walking. So now they're sitting on this side, and tears are coming from Yudhishthir is absolutely peaceful. Bhim is with rage, he's plucking the grass out and looking at them, because that was what they were supposed to have. Nakul and Sahadev are sharpening their swords and their knives, and Arjuna is practicing his bow, and Draupadi is crying and weeping. At that point, Chitrangada descends from above, the Gandharva, powerful Gandharva, and he tells Duryodhan, all his Gandharvas have come, and they say, this is not a place for humans to enjoy. This is Gandharva property, get out from here. And Duryodhan now is half drunk, and Karna and all of them, they say, who are you? We'll fight you. And the fight begins. And at that point now, Chitrangada and all these are powerful Gandharvas, they start defeating the Kauravas. And on this side, now it becomes an excitement. Bhima starts clapping, Arjuna says, yes, now finally they're going to be defeated. But Yudhishthir, a great soul with great character, he says, Bhim, Arjun, go and save them. And then, just see, beautifully, what Bhim and Yudhishthir speak, it will covers our building relation part. Bhim says, why should we help our 100 brothers? We 5 are happy. And then Yudhishthir says, they are 100 and we are 5, but for the whole world we are 105. Don't ever forget this. We are all together. We are never separate. Go and help them. And then, because Yudhishthir speaks, then Bhim and Arjuna go and they protect, and they say, Duryodhan, stand back, we'll defeat them. And they defeat them. And this is considered the greatest insult for Duryodhan. I came to show off. And now my arch enemies, Bhim and Arjun, they defeated them, and Duryodhan, Bhim, he's also very smart, puts salt on the wound. He says, Duryodhan, I give your life back in charity. What do you want from me? You want me to teach you better mace skills? Because they were arch enemies in their mace fighting. What do you want me to do for you? And Arjuna is speaking to Karna. Oh, you didn't learn archery good enough. I can train you, I can do. And then Duryodhan, same thing. He goes in depression. He says, I quit. What is the use? And he sits down. He tells all the other Kauravas, you all go back. I'm not coming. I'm ending my life here. At that point, then he starts fasting. 3 days pass, and Pandavas are watching, and Kauravas are watching, and they're saying, come. He says, no, I'm quitting. And then at night, Kali, we spoke about in the beginning, he takes Duryodhan to the lower planets. And then he tells him, you are personally empowered by me, Kaliraj, and through you I will wreak havoc throughout the world. You go, do it, I'm with you, you will fight, you will win. He tells him you will win. And then Duryodhan comes back up, assured, and then joins the fight. So again we saw the same thing, that their ability to face ups and downs is so important in life, which we are learning from these Pandavas again and again, facing it. And finally, doing your best and leave the rest. This is another, in the Karma Yoga section throughout the Mahabharata and especially in the Gita, this is what, to make you free of worry. Recently I was hearing Gaur Gopal Prabhu, a very amazing speaker, and he showed an amazing slide. It's called the Why Worry slide. It's a flow chart. So it begins with, you ever seen this? Why worry? Okay. Is there a problem in your life? So first thing, yes. Can you solve it? No. Then why worry? Is there a problem in your life? Yes. Can you solve it? Yes. Then why worry? Is there a problem in your life? No. Then why worry? So everything comes down to it, to put it simply, and this again comes down to the same point. When emotions and objective life are mixed too much, then comes worry, then comes stress. When too much importance is given to the result, will I make it or not? That causes worry. But if you have done your best, what else can you do? One of the most successful management consultants, what is author of 7 Habits? Stephen Covey. So Kavi talks about circle of influence and circle of concern. He's picked it up from the Mahabharata. Beautiful concept. He says, in all our lives, there is a circle of concern. What do we want? For example, I want a job. That's my concern. But the job is governed by my boss, opportunities available, my skill set, the time of the recession, economy, and etc. Then he says, behind this is the circle of influence. That means out of all these factors affecting my getting a job, what is under my control? The only thing under my control is what?
Interview.
That's all. I can do what can I bother about what will be the economy at that time? Will opportunities be able? Who will be my competitors? What will be the mood of my boss? What will be the questions? I can do one thing. I can prepare my best. And then he says, when you only consider the circle of concern and forget all these other things we can't influence, then your mind is free of worry. Then you're absolutely calm and sober. Then, okay, I have done my best. And then he says, when you work like this, your circle of concern will grow to include more and more the circle of influence. So this is the same thing of doing your best and leaving the rest. And coming to the same story of Jayadratha, when Arjuna finally takes this vow, he says, fine, tomorrow I'm going to kill Jayadratha. And the opposite army hears of this. And immediately they make the spear formation. The formation of like a spear. So the Jayadratha is obviously at the end of the spear. And Arjuna has to begin breaking the spear from the start, and he has to reach the end before sunset, which is almost impossible. The entire army is today, Duryodhana says, our only focus is protect Jayadratha. If he is protected, we have won the war. Whole army is just focused on that. And the Pandavas are fully focused on breaking in. And Arjuna begins to break at dusk, almost at the time of sunset. At that point, he begins to see the flag of Jayadratha. Jayadratha is that far. Their sight in those days was really powerful because they are shooting arrows going a mile, 2 miles, cutting heads here and there. So it's really far off. So he still can't see it. And the best of warriors are giving as much resistance possible to Arjuna. At that point, the sun sets and Arjuna puts his bow down, and now everyone is worried. And in their happiness, in their excitement, the other people are putting their bows down. Yes, the sun has set, the sun has set. And Jayadratha comes a little ahead, just a little bit. And Arjuna just sees his head and enough of his neck. And Krishna says, shoot. Arjuna says, the sun has set. It's unfair. I'm a Kshatriya, I can't. I have to burn. He says, shoot. And Arjuna, now having faith in Krishna, takes his arrow back and shoots. And Krishna, just before releasing the arrow, tells him a secret. If his head falls on the ground, your head will burst in 1,000 pieces, because he's got a particular blessing. Shoot his head in such a way, it goes in the Himalayas where his father is doing tapasya, falls on his head, and he will put his head down and his head will burst. And Arjuna is that skilled, he shoots the arrow, cuts off Jayadratha's head, that arrow is carried to the Himalayas. Now his father is in deep meditation, suddenly somebody's head falls on his lap and his father throws his head off. And his father's head burst, because I think it was the father who gave him this blessing, and Jayadratha is also dead. So Arjuna did his best, and Krishna or God will do the rest. If we have faith, and it is not that, of course, this formula does not mean that success is guaranteed, external success is guaranteed, but at least this formula shows that we'll be peaceful, we'll be happy, I did my best. With this formula, again, we'll not get emotionally turbulent. We'll not be swayed. I didn't make it. That won't become so important anymore. So that was our first on ambition and aggression. Any reflections on this? Any comments? Any points of view?
I'm thoroughly impressed and just blown away.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This thing, the next one.
Just a small question. I mean, there are several stories regarding the attitude of Karna. But when you're comparing the two trunks, so what are the bullets? What are the actual differences between his aggression and his ambition?
Whose?
Arjuna's and Karna's.
Yeah, these very points. Just the previous one, where, previous slide. Where for aggression, result is more important, not the effort. It doesn't matter how you got it, but I got it. That is what is important. And for aiming for the stars, similarly, it's not based on values, it's not based on character, it's not based on success. The path of success is not important. It's getting there. Facing ups and downs, again, aggression, you can't face ups and downs. They could not face it. This part of the tree, when they had downs in their life, they could not face it. They went into depression, they went into vengeance, they went into revengeful mode. Karna's life, because he had, you didn't allow me for the fight, that vengeance he holds in his head till the rest of his life he's holding it. That doesn't allow him to be happy. Or Duryodhana and all harboring envy. And they are not able to face ups and downs. And doing the best, and they can't agree to this formula. They say, anxiety to also control everything else. I am the controller. That anxiety. That let me try to get the other factors also, which are beyond my control. No, let me see what I can do about them. Unfair fighting. Puncturing, if you are in a bicycle race, puncture his tire and I'll win the race. Unfair. Let me control what I can control about my effort. What can I do about his effort if he's practiced?
At points, even Krishna and Arjuna have done similar things.
Definitely, there are points of very great controversy in the Mahabharata of why this tree also sometimes behaves in the other way, and this tree behaves in a very good way. But to limit the scope of controversial discussion is a very nice topic. I would have loved to go through it. It will take a long time. Yeah.
Sure.
So, how do you know that you have given your best at any time? Because there is always a feeling that you could have done a bit more to have achieved something more. So, how do you know that you have completely given everything that you had?
When life is balanced in physical, mental, emotional, social and spiritual needs, doing your best at any point of time has to be an act of balance. Balance in life is a very beautiful and dynamic thing. Balance is never 1 and 0. The example is of driving a cycle. Suppose I begin to drive a cycle. From here I want to reach back home. So I start pedaling. Now there is a downhill, my cycle will go fast. There's an uphill, my cycle will go slow. If there's a left turn, where does the cycle bend? When you're driving, you're straight. But when there's a left turn, will the cycle bend or will it tilt? Will the cycle tilt? Yes, it will tilt towards the left. Then it will come back straight. When there's a right turn, it will tilt towards right. Then it will come back straight. So balance of life, and all these 5 are always to be balanced. Physical, our health, mental, emotional, social and spiritual. Sometimes in life when there is a left turn,